It's not just you. You are not the only person sitting here struggling trying to figure out this VTuber thing, because I've been trying to figure it out over the last 4 years, and through all of my failures and shortcomings. I really wish I had someone to tell me that I am not alone in this, because being a content creator can feel very lonely. But it doesn't have to be, because there's a lot of great advice I want to share with you, since I wish someone told me this before I started VTubing. Have you ever been told by another VTuber that you have to look and act a certain way in order to be successful? I know I have. And if you look back at my older videos on my channel, then you can definitely see me trying to act like a certain way as a VTuber. Because that's what I was always told that was the correct way to be a VTuber. Now, it's not like the advice I was giving was terrible per se. It does have its use cases where it can make you more successful. But for me, it put way more pressure on me to perform, and I saw a massive drop in my viewership, even though I was listening to all of these growth hacks, advice, and tips that were given to me by other VTubers. I used to try to do this one specific thing because that's the advice that so many other VTubers would give me, which is trying to hop on current trends and stream all the time. And if that doesn't work, then try to be more lewd and parasocial with your viewers. And if all else fails, then make ASMR content. Like, I remember one VTuber told me that the reason why I'm not growing is because I don't have big booba on my model. Yeah, they really said that to me. I tried so hard to be like every other successful creator around me, like Shidely, Ironmouse, and Villian. But trying to be like all these different creators made people in my community slowly start to leave because, well, they missed the old Mario Yume content. Like I said, the advice that they gave me wasn't necessarily bad, and I have a whole video coming out soon about that advice and why it works for some people. But for me personally, it didn't work at the end of the day because it just didn't feel like Mario Yume. If you spend a lot of time watching a certain type of creator, then you might start making similar content to them, which is fine because I also make similar content that's inspired from other creators. However, I want you to think very carefully about how you absorb someone else's content. Like, where do you spend the most amount of your time with content creation? Who are you specifically watching, and what platforms are you consuming their content on? Ask yourself why you like watching this person, because that's going to give you a better answer at figuring out who your target audience is, and most likely they're going to want to watch the same things and do the same things that you do. Because the whole point of being a content creator is to cultivate your own audience, not someone else's, and trying to copy what other people and only doing what others are doing because it's popular isn't going to make you stand out and actually grow. Or even worse, you'll attract the wrong kind of audience and end up getting burned out and quitting this altogether. You are your own unique person. There's only one of you that exists. Unless if you're a twin, but no one will ever be able to be you. I know this all sounds cliche, but it's actually the best advice I could have ever been given as a content creator, because if I really want to do something that another creator is doing, then I can, but in my own way. That's called the yoink and twist method. I know it has other similar names, but I like Ludwig's terminology for it because it sounds silly. But basically, you want to add your own unique spin on something, and the only person who can do that is you. I think the really difficult part is figuring out what makes you unique, because it took me a really long time to figure that out. But now that I know what I'm really good at, I've been doubling down on it, and I'm actually starting to see more growth in my numbers, and honestly, I've been seeing more creators respecting me rather than calling me a copycat. But what if I'm an unlikable person, Maui? Then you can learn to become a likable person without sacrificing your uniqueness. Usually, unlikable people lack social skills, and if you didn't know, I love using the word skills because skills can be learned. I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I had learned in one of the chapters to stop criticizing people. Even if someone is making a mistake and doing something wrong, there are better ways at giving someone feedback without coming off as an a-hole. And this was something that I didn't realize I struggled with until I started holding back my criticism, because I realized it's not necessary to say those things. Pretty much, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. But that particular skill was something I struggled with, and now I don't struggle with it as much anymore because I practiced and got better at it. This is just one of the many social skills I had to learn to become a more likable person. Because honestly, I I wasn't that likable. I actually wasn't, and I think the biggest reason for that was because I let all of this negativity cloud my mind and eat away at me until I became this negative entity that I hated. And the first step for me to get out of that negative loop was to become more mindful of the type of content I was consuming. So one of the things that I did was I stopped watching certain content creators who would just make videos on very negative topics, and I stopped scrolling as much on Twitter. So that way I don't have to read about everyone's negative tweets of them complaining about everything. And I also distanced myself from friends who were negatively influencing me with their nasty and petty remarks about everything. Being away from all of that has started to make me see just how much of that was affecting me. And ever since I started surrounding myself with people who have a much more positive outlook on life, I started to realize that I wanted to create a much more positive environment around me with people who are, more like-minded as me, that aren't going to judge me or make me feel bad about how I want to go about being a content creator. Who you surround yourself with really does matter, and having more positive influences around you can really make a huge difference on your outlook in life. I'm very thankful for all the friends that I've made today, because without them, I honestly don't know if I would still be here as like a VTuber, because they have had such an amazing impact on my outlook on this whole content creation journey. And all of the friends that I have now have really shifted my perspective and showed me how there's so much more to content creation than meets the eye. I hope this video was helpful to you, because I'm trying not to make these advice videos too broad and generic, so if there was anything I had said in this video that you would like more help on, then comment down below so I can respond to them and try to answer your questions. And if enough people ask me the same type of questions, then maybe I'll make another video or some YouTube shorts around that topic. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, everything reminds you of something.